We'd like to welcome you to BeMoreNews.com, the news before the news, where we uncover the truth. We're here with Baltimore City Councilman Bill Cole. Good afternoon, sir.
Hey, Donnie.
So much is going on. There's a hot, contentious race, and the word on the street is you're aiming for that council presidency.
I'm flattered. It's an honor to be mentioned as a replacement to the council president. I've been focused the last couple of weeks on making certain that she succeeds as mayor and making certain that her transition is seamless. The reality is that leaves a void in the city council, and I am seeking to replace her as council president.
And you have some experience also in the state legislature.
Yeah, I served a term in the state legislature representing South and Southwest Baltimore, and also worked for Congressman Cummings for 7 years.
And you told me in our conversation before this that you have at least come to understand the plight of a small business person, even that of an Elijah Cummings getting started as an attorney, and how challenging it is, particularly for black business owners.
The reality is, as we've discussed, that businesses in this city have tremendous struggles right now given the financial markets. But the reality is small businesses are taking it on the chin. And this city can only be great again if we do two things. We have to grow small business, and we have to find a way to attract middle class back to Baltimore. I think that Baltimore long-term needs to be focused on becoming a city of 900,000 people again. And it's not going to get there just through the large biotech parks. It's going to get there through small business development.
Not to put any entity out there, but Councilman, a lot of people in the community, a lot of business owners just feel a disconnect between government and private sector, especially when you're coming from a small mom and pop store or business vantage point.
The key in government is transparency, number one, and then I think fairness. I think you need to make certain that everything is open so that everybody understands the rules of the game when you go in to apply for capital, that when you go in and you want to compete for business, that it's a level playing field. So government agencies need to not be playing favorites. They need to be setting a level playing field so that everybody can come in and compete equally. The other thing is we probably need to look at making certain that Baltimore businesses get opportunities before some of these out-of-city and out-of-state firms do.
Now, I don't know that you want to name some of the businesses, but you get phone calls on a regular basis from businesses that are struggling with things that really don't seem to make sense if you think of what the good book says of all things working together. It seems as though all things are not working together.
Yeah, the reality is that in Baltimore you're faced with a lot of challenges, whether we're permitting and feeing you to death, or whether we're putting a construction fence around your entrance and telling you you'll just have to survive while we dig up your street.
Or a utility pole outside your window.
Or a utility pole outside your window. And those are the things that both Baltimore residents and businesses alike are struggling with on a daily basis. The reality is Baltimore City is a great city, but it is only great because of its people, and we need to find a way to make certain that the people and the city are working together.
Well, for example, over in West Baltimore, we have a fresh produce issue.
Yeah.
If you live near or around Pennsylvania Avenue, there are not a lot of places you can rent a video.
That's right.
Have you had experience dealing with constituent questions like that?
I had a woman who contacted me who had just moved into Upton who said that it was frustrating that the things that she needs most right now in her professional career were a dry cleaner, for example, and she'd like to be able to stop and rent a movie on the way home. The reality is when you look at economic development, you need to be looking at all types of businesses to make certain that communities can survive and sustain themselves. Talk about the Avenue. We've had a real problem recently with the businesses on the Avenue struggling to survive because they've been fined to death for putting tables out front. You have to find a balance between economic development and public safety and common sense, and sometimes it requires a different approach to things, and I think that...
Well, it seems common sense. Why is it that you get it and people in the past have not gotten it? As an African American, and people who watch BeMoreNews.com know that we push black business and a number of other items, but we don't understand how in a majority black city it's too damn difficult to do business. I mean, it's just there's so many hurdles.
You know,
Not crying victim. I mean, we just want to earn a living and be able to feed our families, just as the South Korean merchant does, just as the Pakistani merchant does. But this is a majority black city. I mean, where is the love?
I mean, it's hard to say anything more than what you just did. We need to focus on the people of this city and make certain that they get the first opportunities to survive in business and in our neighborhoods. The reality is, I don't know that I have any great wisdom that other people haven't had, but having served in Annapolis and having worked for Congressman Cummings, I've seen a lot of different parts of the city and understand that neighborhoods come first. Community development is based around small business and not necessarily big business. And the reality is that sometimes downtown isn't in touch with uptown.
You say you've seen parts of the city, and you're contrasting that to downtown. Parts of the city like where?
Well, I mean, representing in the city council, representing areas from Federal Hill Park in the south to Druid Hill Park in the north, from Harlem Park in the west to 83 in the east. But then, in my time in the legislature, representing Southwest Baltimore, neighborhoods like Pigtown and Irvington, and now moving into my time in Congressman Cummings' office, where he represented the vast majority of the city. So the neighborhoods themselves, the one thing that may be different is the neighborhood names, but a lot of the neighborhood needs are the same. And I think people are focused on making certain that our primary services, public safety, trash collection, are protected, but we also need to be investing wisely in our neighborhoods again.
One final question. What do you think you bring to the council presidency that is unique from others interested in the same position?
I do believe I have an interesting skill set and background, having owned a small business myself at one point in time, having worked for a major university and understanding the struggles of hiring and firing people, and then having worked at all three levels of government, local, state, and federal, combined with a diverse education, including a degree in legal and ethical studies. And I think it's one of those things. When I look at the things that I've been able to do in a short period of time, I'm proud of my own accomplishments, but in reality, I think I have a lot to offer to the city.
Good deal. Baltimore City Councilman Bill Cole, we wish you well on your search for council presidency.
Thanks,
Keep watching BeMoreNews.com, the news before the news, where we uncover the truth.